Now, imagine this. You're looking at a series of data, and it's for IoT devices. So, analyzing that can be a very difficult thing to do, and you want to scrub through and get only the latest data. So, here we are again with Azure Data Studio, and we're going to do just that. We're going to create, first of all, our example IoT data, and once we've created the data, we're going to go ahead and try to filter it and make sense of it. So first of all, we're going to create a demo database. We're going to create the table, and we're going to insert some data. Now, there's a couple of things here which are going to cause us some issues. First off is that the data does contain duplicates, and secondly that the data has let's say some service information in there that we want to get rid of as well. Now, we don't have duplicates per se in the conventional sense, but we have multiple entries for the same day. So we want to get rid of those multiple entries and only have that single entry. Now, we can't use the ranking or row by numbers in the conventional sense, because in this case these are unique entries, so they have different ID numbers and different values in this case. So we're going to need to rank them by date. So if there is multiple ones on the same day, then we'll take the latest one as an example. You could do this differently, but in this example, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do a select star. We're going to say day rank, so we're giving the name of what we're going to call our column, equals, and row underscore number, and then we say over, and then we get to put the partition. And the partition part is what we're going to use to separate out our values. So we're going to use the date, and we're going to use the IoT as our separating values, since these are duplicates or values that we don't want duplicates in. So we want to have a single IoT device, and we want to have the single entry for that IoT device for that day. We're also going to include location, because location in this particular sense is also relatively stable. You may or may not include it depending on your data sets, and you can include as many columns as you need. Again, depends on your data set. So we're also going to cast the date, and we're going to sort or order by in this case. Usually I'm not a big fan of order by unless you really need to, simply because it uses up CPU cycles. So unless end users are actually looking at the data, I tend to skip it, but in this particular case we do need it because we need to filter that somehow. And we're going to do descending. So this is just going to give us a quick load of data. It would help, he says, if I would add the from into this. It just occurred to me after this video. But hey, nobody's perfect. So we do the from, and in this case, our demo table. Now, as you can see, we now have a day rank, and we have some differences. So 1 is unique and the latest based on our request, and we have a few rows here which have 2 and 3. So these are the ones that occurred the same day with slightly different values. So we're not interested in those values. We want just the latest in this particular example. So what we're going to do is we say, okay, well, that's easy. We'll just take the day rank and we'll say where value equals 1, right? That should be a dead simple way of filtering out all of these entries that we don't want. So we just say where day rank equals and 1, and hit enter. Now this is where obviously there's a problem here, because we have an error, and the problem is that day rank doesn't exist in our table, so we can't do a where on something that doesn't exist, because it's a value that's applied only in the process of the creation here that we've done. So the only thing we can do to resolve this is to basically put this query into a common table expression, and then from the common table expression we can filter the result. Now when I say it's the only way, obviously that isn't the only way. you can use temp tables and then filter on the temp table and have all this kind of insert and workarounds. Don't recommend it. Really, it's not elegant. Does work, mind you, but it's slow, and just don't do it. So here we're just going to go ahead with the with expression, which we're going to create our IoT table. We're going to use the data, we're going to use the IoT column, we're going to use the location column, we're going to use the value column, and we're going to add an additional column, which in this case represents our day rank column. So with that done, we'll then be able to close our original query with a as, and then just an open and closed array. So these nice little what do we call circular brackets, and then we can do a select from it. Now we can select, in this case we're now using the IoT table that we've created as part of the CTE. As you can see, we now have the values as we did before, and we have the day rank as we had before. So this is just coming from the IoT table, which is now coming from our original demo table. The difference being that we can now apply the where day rank equals 1 and run that and get our filtered results. So that's kind of an improvement, but what if we wanted to get rid of the day rank so that it doesn't show up? Well, as you can see, removing it from our IoT table doesn't really work. That actually breaks the query. So if we wanted to get rid of it, what we would do is we say, okay, well, we're doing a select down here, so we'll just take the columns that we want, remove the star, and there we go. And now our IoT table does not have the day rank anymore. Plus, there are other ways of doing it, but this is the one we'll go with for the moment. So what we've got now is the results, but we're still missing some things. So as an example, I can say, okay, what if I want to see the duplicates? I can say greater than 1. So these are the values that we're not showing. But I also want to get rid of something else. You see here we have service. So in this case, it represents the data from these IoT devices when they were in the service. So I can go back to my original query in the middle, put a where statement because this information is within the original table, and say where location not equal, and just say service. So all of my service records from my table will now be removed, leaving me with only the latest data from the locations of those IoT devices. And that's how you get the simple filtering of the table by latest results.